Who here currently likes to exercise? Okay, a good number of us, yay. Who likes to exercise outside? Only a couple. I know it's hot, it's like 100 degrees outside right now. However, I want to talk to you a little bit about getting active in nature and some things and the benefits, and share some of my recent exploits with you. There are so many benefits to outdoor exercise. First, it's a natural antidepressant. Number one, you're going to get vitamin D from the sunshine, which you need each and every day to support your body's good function. You get to enjoy nature, and it also boosts your serotonin. So when you're working out outside, the serotonin gets created in your body, and this is beneficial to your overall mental health and your physical health. It challenges your body. When you work out outside, it is more challenging, right? The ones that raise your hands, what kind of workouts do you do outside? Mostly running. So why don't you run on a treadmill?
It can stale.
Running on this treadmill is stale. It can be boring, right? I had a treadmill for a period of time, and I would much rather run in 100-degree weather than be on the treadmill because it's more interesting. But it's also more challenging to your body because all the changes, not only environmental changes, the humidity, the heat, the sunshine, the changes in elevation. I love trail running. I run a lot on Alito trails. And the calculations that your feet are doing and the planning of where you're going to step around the rocks and up the hills is really good for your brain. And it's also more challenging for your body. Even things like the wind. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my biking experience, and there were several days that it was extremely windy, and the wind added to the challenge of the workout. You're more likely to stick with it, that enjoyment factor. If you're on that treadmill, or dreadmill as some people call it, it's not going to be as pleasurable if you go outside and enjoy nature. I much more enjoy doing my workouts outside by the pool than in my indoor studio. It provides mental and stress relief. This releases the norepinephrine in your body, which is also beneficial. This reverses the damage that stress does to your brain. So the stress that we have in the environment from our workload, from our volunteering, from our family demands, puts pressure on your brain, and this helps release some of that stress and repair the damage. It's going to boost your mood and improve your cognition, your focus, as well as reduce cortisol levels. So cortisol is your body's stress response. When you're in a stressful environment, it releases cortisol, and this is kind of like where your body goes in that fight or flight, which in some cases, a little bit of that is good. We do get a release of cortisol when we're doing things that are exciting, when we're doing something challenging in the gym, but too much cortisol is negative to your body. So this will help reduce your cortisol levels to a safe level and also lower your blood pressure. It can be a team building experience. When I was cycling across Iowa, it was a team building experience. We had a team of 70 cyclists, and we went in small groups. And there was a factor of encouraging. As a fitness coach, I felt kind of responsible for my group because there was times that it was really hard. And you could feel the stress and the challenge in the faces and the responses of the team. And so I felt like it was really important to help build up the team. And so when you're working outside, you can do that team building and it create that positive team environment. The EPA said that you can actually reduce your exposure to indoor air pollutants by working out outside. Even if you're working out in a city, they stipulate based on their studies of environments indoors that it's actually better for you to work out outside. Even if you're in an urban area where there's potential pollutants from car traffic. Still better for you. You burn more calories. We talked about the challenge. Working out outdoors is also a everyone because it's right there, it's everywhere. You can go anywhere. When I travel, I love walking around and doing my exercise outside. I'll find a park or a location. It's accessible to everyone. It enhances your self-esteem. So they've done research that shows even 5 minutes spending time outside exercising, including meditating or deep breathing and stretching, improves your self-esteem. It makes you feel better about yourself. And being near greenery or a water feature like a river, a pond, a beach with an ocean enhances that effect on your self-esteem. So,
would a swimming pool help you?
I think a swimming pool would as well.
Yeah, she has an oasis.
I think I've seen it on Facebook.
So as Pat said, I've done a lot of different fitness challenges just because I think it's fun and exciting to see what kind of things that your body can do to push yourself and build up not only your body but your own self-esteem. It's really, you feel accomplished when you finish something really big. And so when my team, RWB team, red, white, and blue, invited me to go on this Ragbrai cycle, I said, why not? Ragbrai is an annual 7-day bicycle ride across the state of Iowa. It's been going on for 49 years, and it is the oldest, largest, and longest multi-day recreational bicycle touring event in the world. So I want to emphasize to you that this is not a race. And there are people of all fitness levels and abilities that participate in this event. Oh, in this picture here, I was wearing my Rotary cycle kit for one of the days of the event, and this Rotarian was next to me and saw my Rotary kit, and we started a conversation about our Rotary clubs and what kind of projects, and made a connection because I was wearing Rotary in public. So I encourage you to wear your Rotary lapel pin, your name badge, wear your Rotary logoed stuff when you're traveling, because you never know what kind of conversations might come out of that. So this is an overview of Ragbrai, and I won't get into a lot of details on this, but we started in Sergeant Bluff, which is on the west side of Iowa, and every day you drive or you cycle along a specified path. There's little cities that you stop in along the way. Every year the course is different because it builds the economy in Iowa. It's really good for these small towns. And every day you have an end town where that's your stopping point. You set up camp for the night. Most people tent camp. There are people that have RVs. Then you wake up the next morning, pack everything up, and typically you pay a company to transport your things to your finished campsite for the next night. And you continue doing this for the entire event. It's 7 days of cycling, but typically people come on day 0. So it's an 8-day commitment. This illustrates sometimes the amount of climb from 2,545 feet, 1,694 feet. Iowa is not flat. Who here thought Iowa was flat? I looked at the material for this and I didn't pay that much attention because I knew I could do the course. I wasn't worried about the elevation, but I had it in my mind that Iowa was pretty flat. My son lives in Kansas, and Kansas is flat. Iowa, not so much. There was a lot of hills. Every day there was lots of hills. And this little map here is the hill map. You'll notice this last day, you go down and then there's some really, really steep hills.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Were the roads closed to traffic?
The roads were not technically closed to traffic. However, they did an amazing job. So there was, on the biggest day, there was probably about 24,000 cyclists. They have people that ride the entire 7 days. There's people that ride 1 day. There are people maybe that aren't physically fit but want to have the experience that might pick, okay, I want to ride from Battle Creek to Ida Grove, because that's supposed to be a really pretty stretch and it's fairly flat. So they might have a support vehicle drop them off at Battle Creek and they ride 20 miles or 10 miles and do parts of it. We had some people in our group that had some limitations, and some of the hills were very challenging. One of them was in a tricycle style bicycle, a recumbent bike, and going up the hills, he just struggled a little bit with it. It was really difficult. So he picked parts of the course that were relatively flat that he could be successful at doing and enjoy the experience. So even someone who is not super conditioned can do and experience something like this and get the benefits of exercising outdoor and the Ragbrai experience. If you wake up early enough, you got beautiful views of the sunrise. This particular day was really cold. I had packed for warm weather. It was supposed to be warm. They got a cold front, and so we really only had one sunny, hot day. This day when we woke up, it was like 50 degrees and windy, and so with the wind chill, my hands were numb, my feet were numb. It was very cold. You could see the fog, the dew point was really low over the fields. It was really pretty, but very chilly. You see lots of old farms, barns, lots of cornfields and soybeans, and each of the little towns has little things that you experience throughout the day. There's lots of bikes. So this is at one of the farms, and I've never seen so many $1,000 bikes just thrown in the grass, because people get off at the side of the road. People that are along the route will open their grassy area, and you'll see like one or two random bikers just like camped out under somebody's tree taking a rest. People were giving away free water, and then there were these larger areas, big farms that hosted food, drinks, music, entertainment. Very pretty. This is one of the uphill grades. One of the last hills on the last day was 5 miles incline. 5 miles. That's when you get your positive attitude going and you say, I wanted another hill. I was looking forward to this. Let's crush this hill. Seriously, that's what I did. You see a lot of farm animals. So one of the great things that I think Rotarians would appreciate about Ragbrai is that this is an opportunity for these small towns and their nonprofits to raise tons of money for the year. So the smallest town we went through had a population of 27.
Wow.
And there was like 10,000 cyclists that went through that day. 27.
Wow.
So you see all kinds of nonprofits, from cities trying to raise money for splash pads and water features at their community, to 4-H kids raising money for their fair projects, to young entrepreneurs just trying to raise funds for scholarships for school. So we got to pet the animals, feed the animals, I kissed a pig, I rode a bull, all, and you give donations to these organizations that are really fundraising. So it was really fun to contribute to so many different groups. I ran into a Rotary Club that had a French toast stick breakfast food truck at one of the cities.
Did you eat it?
I had already eaten breakfast, and I'm gluten-free, so no, I did not. You get to see the sights in these little Iowa towns, and you would think, what kind of sights are in these small towns? This is actually a historic stagecoach, and I can't read I took this picture with the little placard. They had all this information. I think it was from like the 1800s, and the farmhouse behind it was also a historic home. And they had this big Ragbrai bicycle party in their front yard. The picture on the right is called the Grotto. It's at a Catholic church. It's entirely made of stones, seashells, precious rocks, and it shows the Stations of the Cross. And you can walk through it. It's really beautiful. That was one of my favorite surprises along the way. All of the islands are really proud of their tractors, right? So they had their tractors on display on the side of the road. In the middle of the road, they would have little information on when it was built, and a lot of them are like antiques. Like this one, I thought this one was really cool. It's not all about the cycling. I told you this is not a race, that this is for anyone to enjoy. It's about the experience. And someone told me before we did it, because they knew I was a competitive triathlete, they said, this is not a race. If you're racing, you're doing it wrong. Because the actual cycling at a medium pace might take 4 to 6 hours for the average person to do the entire day's cycling. But you stop at these little towns and you support the nonprofits and you snack and you drink beer.
Okay.
They did have theme days, which was super fun. And so one of them was hometown day, and I represented Aledo. I mentioned it's about the food, lots of food. Homemade ice cream from the Amish. There's a famous company, Beekman's, out of Iowa, that was on the route every day, and they make it in these big tubs, and it was really cool to watch. Pork chops, right? Iowa is big on pork farmers, and so pork chops were a staple each day. There was multiple places that you could get grilled pork chops that were like this thick. All you can eat pancakes, that was one of the charity places, had all you can eat pancakes. I did not partake. I typically had like a breakfast bowl with eggs and black beans. And corn. They grow a lot of corn in Iowa, so the corn farmers came out in force, and they had free corn, like almost all you could eat corn. Every day there was a place that you could get fresh, shucked, and baked corn. I mentioned music. They had musicians at a lot of the stops or DJs. It was really a party. People were dancing, having fun. And they had great support from DPS and the local sheriffs throughout the state of Iowa, as well as the EMS. All the first responders were amazing. So the road was open to traffic. Keep in mind, a lot of these are country roads that are typically like 50 miles an hour. So there's so many cyclists that you're basically taking up the whole right of road. And so typically people would go around if they needed to pass the cyclists, but the traffic was truly minimal because people in Iowa know about this event. Like in February, they announced the route, so they will reroute people if possible around the cyclists. And I didn't feel like I was on FM 1187, where I usually cycle by myself, that someone's gonna take a sharp turn and run me off the road. I felt very safe. That at every intersection, the police would dictate traffic and allow you to pass through. And they had a great EMS staff that if something happened that you needed assistance, they would be there. They were on cycles and all kinds of different things, motorcycles. If you're interested in participating, please reach out to me. They'll announce the route in February. It's a really fun event. I saw kids like 7 years old cycling with their parents. I met a guy who was in his 80s that had done his like 40th Ragbrai and everything in between.
Is it always in Iowa?
It's always in Iowa. It's an Iowa event, and it's something that they do to boost their economy and get people to appreciate Iowa. Because honestly, who here would ever want to say, I want a vacation in Iowa? Anyone? Nobody. Me neither, okay? I never wanted to go to Iowa on vacation until this event. And still I wasn't really expecting the experience that I had there.
So now you wanna go vacation tonight?
I do want to do Ragbrai again. I learned a lot from the experience of how to even make it more enjoyable. Yes.
When you get a flat tire or anything, do you have to bring your own supplies or do they have a team?
Okay, that's a great question.
Because that would be me.
The Air Force actually has a support team that they go out and they're trained to help people. They're cyclists that they're trained to help people with flat tires and things. I always recommend that you get your bike tuned up beforehand, but you know, sometimes things happen. The support team and other cyclists will always help you. I had supplies for my bike, even though I wouldn't be that great about doing it, because I get my bike tuned up regularly, so I've never had a problem on any race or anything that I've had to fix my bike. So they have this Air Force group that will come by, but they also have another group that will come by with a vehicle that will take your bike into the next town where they have cyclist repair shops.